Welcome back, guys. Jet Scott here with Scott Speech Up as always. And today we're going to be working on something. As you saw in the thumbnail, something for Jezebel. And if you noticed, engine's missing. The Pro Stock's there all mocked up. That's something to come in the future. But where's Jezebel's engine? Man, where do you just misplace your 500-inch engine that makes 620 horsepower? How do you just miss? Oh, it's right there. Oh, horrible attempted humor. So, rolled the engine out of storage. For anybody who don't know, the engine's all good. Nothing wrong with it as far as we know. We are waiting on a buddy to have some free time to help do the video on rebuilding this for all of you guys. Or I could have just probably sent it to Brewer's Performance, but that would have taken longer, and that's just paying someone to get it done, even though it would have been done right, I know. But I'm the kind of guy, I like to do it myself, learn, and if we can do a video on it, hell yeah. And don't mind the mirror glasses. Dad talked me into buying these. Yeah, so we can talk like this. Whoa, that's different. Wow. He's got a blue tint to him on the inside. Anyways, so Jezebel's engine. Something I've wanted to do for a while. I mean, I love this intake and carb setup. I built these three 500 Holley 2 barrels. These 500 Holley 2 barrels, there's three of them. I did all of these myself. They did excellent on the dyno. These are great. It's a great setup here. Mechanical, progressive linkage. You know, it opens up that far in the center, and then you're going wide open on the secondary. That's really hard to pull. But I did all that. It did great on the dyno, but the problem is the intake. The intake is super cool. A lot of guys lust after the Wyand crossflow, which is what this intake is actually officially called by Wyand. I know. I have the 1977 Wyand catalog when this intake first debuted, and it was expensive. Even back in 1977. And it's a really rad intake, really cool. You know, long runner, kind of cross ramming style tunnel ram. The problem is this thing just doesn't make good horsepower. And not that I want more horsepower, I want more simplicity. And I mean, I love these fuel lines Dad bent. I mean, I love this setup. So here's my qualm. So here my problems is this thing limits my RPM. The cam I have is good to like 6,800 RPM or 65, 60. It's somewhere in there upper 6,000 RPMs. The engine, however, makes peak horsepower at 5,400. Now it makes 620 something horsepower at 5,400, which is insane. And it makes over 660 foot-pounds of torque at like 4,000. I have to get the dyno sheets to prove it and remember exactly where the numbers are, but it makes all of its power below 6,000, and that works great on a street car. But I want to move that up. I want to take a little more advantage of my cam and everything, and this intake is just a hindrance. These intakes, there's a reason why they didn't make them for very long. One being they were really expensive, and two, they just don't work as good as they look. So unfortunately, we're going to be saying goodbye to the 3 deuces and this intake for this. Let me kill this fan. It is a Mopar Performance tunnel ram, which if you don't know anything about tunnel rams, this is the absolute worst tunnel ram that was ever made for a big block Chrysler. These things just don't work worth a dang. And I would normally never buy one, but I have criteria I have to fall under. My intake can only be so tall. This thing is 2 inches shorter than a Wyand tunnel ram. And it's shorter than this intake. And I need all the space I can get for our custom hood scoop we built for Jezebel. You know, this hood scoop we did a video on. It was a lot of time and labor by Dad and I think Michael helped us. Maybe Mom. I can't remember who all helped. I think it was Mom, Michael, Dad, and I. And I know some people don't like it. It's a reversed Chevy style scoop. It's supposed, the front's over here. And we cut it. Added the plexiglass down the center to widen it out, and then Michael had the idea of turning it this way, ram air, which I know technically it would do more if it was facing the right way, but just looks neat. And then I put the bars here I made, and I don't know, love or hate it, but it's a scoop. It stays. There's so much time in that. There's no way I can make another one. So with that being said, I need to work within those constraints of that height limitation. There's only so much room I can have underneath the hood of a 70 Charger. There's not a lot of room, believe it or not, underneath the 70 Charger. And the car sits outside. It has a car cover, yes, but when I first put Jezebel back together all them years ago with Dad, it was tunnel ram, open carburetors, and every night when I'd go to bed, I would put a bucket over them. In fact, that bucket's right here, and I went through 2 of those. This one down here, and it's super annoying because you never seal it up all the way. And what's the point of spending all this time making a nice engine if you gotta cover it up and then it still doesn't keep all the rain out of it? And we don't have a place to put the car, so it's got to sit outside. So everything's got to sit underneath it's all got to be out there. So the hood scoop help prevents that. So we have that height limitation, and this tunnel ram works with it. And I've got all the linkage set up here. I actually spent all day yesterday just dialing in this linkage. I mean, it's just buttery smooth, even from this side down here. And in fact, there's going to be another tunnel ram set up very similar to this. I'm going to be setting up for my brother, and we're going to do a video on how to do all this linkage on his. I don't want to take this all apart. It was a mess yesterday just getting it all dialed in and getting it that buttery smooth. And these are 2 650 Ultra XPs I bought used, and even used, these things are expensive. But this is what I wanted, mainly because to get the Holleys I wanted, the HP style Holleys, it was going to be ridiculously expensive, and to find a pair that matched with a nice zinc dichromate style finish, nearly impossible. So I said, screw it. I would rather have the hardcore gray and black than silver shiny. So that's what we did. Hopefully it looks good on Jezebel's engine. So today I'm going to start dismantling this, and it hurts, but hopefully it still looks cool. And the other thing I have is, when you run these Edelbrock style Victor heads, it has the spacer built in, so it raises everything up. So you got to run a steel valley tray, and these things are just cheap. They don't look very good. They let it down. Well, my buddy Kuda Rick on Facebook did a run of these. They're custom made, and that's clear Lexan or plexiglass inside of there. I know it'll get all oily and you won't be able to see through it very long, but I think it'll look pretty good if we can get it to fit. I don't want to take the heads off, so if this doesn't fit without taking the heads off, then it ain't going on. That was one of the last ones he had, and this is actually a blemish. It's got a couple scratches there, but I'm fine with that. So we're gonna start taking this stuff apart. I'm gonna turn on the kill switch and gauge, enjoy some music. You guys get to see a little bit of speedy footage, maybe watch me cry a little bit, and hope you enjoy it. Alright, well, we got the intake off. That was quite a fight. Those Hughes gaskets we used, man, they got that built-in silicone. They did not want to give up. That's going to be fun to scrape all that stuff off. Look inside them ports. Freaking clean as can be. Wow. Of course, she ain't got very much run time on her neither. So here we got the 2 setups on the bench, and they're about the same height. This one just appears to be a little bit taller, not much. I can tell you for a fact, the dual quads feels a lot lighter. Feels a whole lot lighter. Luckily, I have my bathroom scale here I use to weigh parts before I ship them. Let's see what weighs what. But not me. I don't need that. So that's ready. Excuse me. I need this hand. Alright, this setup. We'll let that think for a minute. Think. What does this weigh? This weighs 51 pounds. 51.2. You didn't see it. Wow, that don't feel like 50 pounds. Hey, scale, come on. Work here. This setup weighs, verdict is 38 pounds. Dang, that is so much lighter. So much lighter. So yeah, I mean, for the guys who get big into, you know, dropping weight to save, you know, the only thing this thing's missing is the hose for the fuel lines, and that's it. And then the regulator or T-block, whatever's going to connect the two fuel rails together to the main fuel line. But I mean, hell, I'm going to get to cleaning this, not going to bore you with that, and then we'll get ready to set all the new stuff on there. Just look at them pretty ports. Just look at that. By the way, this engine is also standard port, not max wedge. You see that second row of silicone there? It's max wedge. We're making all this power with standard port heads. Now these, of course, are the Victor style heads. They were Pro Comp castings. I got more money in everything surrounding the casting than I do in the castings. The castings are pretty good. At least they used to be. I don't know anymore. But never trust the valves, the rocker gear, the guides, anything in the heads. Get them bare, have them checked out, even the seats, yeah. So, good castings though. So, I'm gonna start cleaning. We'll check in a minute. Alrighty, well, intake surfaces are clean. I put masking tape over them, actually packing tape. Nice and smooth. Gotta keep it protected. Got all the valley tray bolts out. Let's see what's underneath here. Let's see if we're gonna have an Uncle Tony or anything like that. We're gonna have valve train issues. And we dropped some stuff in there. Great. Man, that Mark Brown sure does know how to build an engine. Look at those freaking push rods. 9/700 long, 80 thousandths. Guess that's the wall thickness. OAL is what it had on there. We're gonna clean all this little stuff that fell out of here. These little chunks of silicone, and our solid lifter cam looks like it's in good health. That's good. Man. So this is gonna be fun cleaning all this silicone off without getting any inside the engine. Really fun. And I guess first things first, where is it? Where is it? Where did it go? Aha! There it is. I take my oil sending unit out. Will that slide? Yes, that's gonna slide right through. Let's just go ahead and, oh yes, yes, yes. Now we gotta pull it back through without putting any stuff inside the engine. I'm so happy that will just slide right on through without having to take the heads off. Typically on these Edelbrock Victor deals, you gotta take the heads off. It's a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna get all the silicone cleaned off. Again, that's unfortunately one of the downsides. You gotta run those valley trays. So you gotta coat this thing with silicone so that way it doesn't leak out. And Mark did a hell of a job putting silicone down. You have to get some of that clear silicone. I don't have it. I only have the good super black or ultra black. So I'll get some clear stuff. And I'm gonna get to cleaning on this. And again, we'll be back. Alrighty guys, so we're back. It is 10 o'clock at night. I'm finally done scraping gaskets, and I figured I would do a little mock-up. Did some posts on the old Instagram. If you guys didn't know I had an Instagram, I kind of got talked into it by that Peak antifreeze group. They were going to do an interview with me, but I guess they're not now. But got me to do an Instagram. It's Scott Speed Shop Jezebel, in case you're interested. Did a little trivia on there. Of course, you guys already know the answer, but by the time this video comes out, you know, trivia's over. But just wanted to put everything on here for now. I'm gonna probably go inside, kick back for a couple of minutes, go talk to a bunch of buddies and whatnot. But there's it mocked up. Looks pretty sweet. Is it as cool as that setup? I don't know. It's pretty sweet, but it's kind of hard to beat 3 deuces. But we back out in the morning to continue working. Alrighty, we're back. Sorry, I keep forgetting to turn the camera on and actually bring it out with me. A lot of things been going on. It's actually 2 days later. So where do we start? Well, probably I'll take this tunnel ram off and show you what I did. Alright, so first things first, with this valley tray, I think I mentioned that I didn't like the idea of running a huge bead of silicone. It's one reason my machinist refused to use the Indy plate, and we used that stamped steel and it's uglier than sin. So I made these aluminum strips. Dad helped me get measurements just right. We had to notch the new valley tray for our Allen head bolts to go into place. And I know these are just real thin strips, but what they're going to do is they're going to limit the amount of silicone that's going to be needed. Because there was a gap over here we could see into the valley, just very, very, very small gap. So there'll be silicone on the back side of this and down on the bottom, but not very much. It ain't going to take as much silicone now to seal this valley up. I can't wait to pull this plexiglass off. In fact, we got our clear silicone. I don't know where I threw it. I hate silicone anyways, but it's somewhere in here. It's stuff my machinist recommended, so we got some of that so we can get all this stuff sealed up here after a bit. But what I'm working on, I have been working on a way to connect the fuel lines together, and I've experimented with different Ys and things, and I just don't like the way it looks. So I'm going for super simple with a T, and I don't like it for flow. I got a -8 that adapts down to -6 here. So the main feed line will be -8. That'll be plenty big. If you're wondering why this is gold and these are kind of a bronzy color and these are black, it's because these were all brand new black AN, and I made this little bracket, TIG welded it on, and that's what happens to that anodides and coating. It turns gold. Pretty cool. Actually kind of want to sit there and hit all these with heat now. But I don't want to do it, but I'm going to put holes in that tunnel ram right there. That's going to sit just like that. And I got it. I sat here for probably about 20 minutes just making sure it was square with the world, because you don't want this thing sitting like this. You don't want it too far to one side. You want it fairly centered. And then we're actually going to put a gauge in the middle of this. So we'll kind of loosely assemble that. There, just loosely put it in there. Got a Jegs oil filled gauge, black and everything to match everything else. That's going to go right there with 2 1/4-20 bolts. If anything fails, it'll be the weld. I don't know how strong that is. This, whatever this aluminum alloy is that they use for making these fittings, it don't like to be welded. So that'll be like that. I try to line this fitting up with this bolt right here in the valley in the center. So hopefully that looks pretty decent. I don't know how it looks on camera, but like I said, I sat here and played with it forever. Never play with it, you go blind. But yeah, hopefully that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna I just don't want to put holes in it, but I'm gonna put holes in my really nice M1 and ruin it, but it can always be welded back up. So here we go. Alrighty, so the bracket is done. It is mounted. I think we have the Birdsong seal of approval. He is texting me right now. Hi, Chris. Everybody say hi to Chris Birdsong, world famous YouTuber. Chris Birdsong doing the General Mayhem from The Roadkill Show. He is doing the series on it right now on YouTube. For the few of you who don't know who he is, Junker up on YouTube. Good dude. Great dude. There's my Jegs gauge, oil filled. And how it's going to work, I know some people are going to be like, well, it's going to be a really tight bend. Well, it's going to do, it's going to come out and it's going to be a nice long gradual curve up into that and over into that. And there'll be some excess line there and some excess line here. So if you're at the track or you're tuning this thing, you pull all 4 bolts out, knock the bowl off, and you're going to have plenty of excess line there to be able to dangle it, and you ain't got to take any of the fittings off. That's the end goal here. That's one thing I'm aiming for with this entire setup. That's the Birdsong probably, or my buddy Billy. But anyways, so that's done. Now we're getting pretty close to where we got to make all the lines. I hopefully got enough. I might need to get more of this actually. So let's just keep going. All right, and we're back out here in the morning. I stayed up till midnight. I was up till 2 or 3, but came out here last night, couldn't sleep much, so I don't know which line I had bent first. This one. I did this one first, that way I knew it was going to clear the linkage, and then I mirrored it. I got the exact same length of hose first try on this side, so it mirrors that side. And so I eyeballed it, and I got this hose bent here, and I went ahead and marked this one instead of trying to guess like I did on the other one. So this hose will be the exact same length, and come down here, and that'll help make a mirror image on both sides because symmetry. I'm all about that, you know, fuel line, spark plug wires. If you can make it look as nice as possible, it ought to work good. Trying to keep all my J crowns out. You know, I'm not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by Jigs in any deal. I just get a little deal on some of the parts, which anybody can do, really. But I don't know, it's just about pride. You know, Jigs has always helped us out with Rob Ziegler and everybody like that, the company. So we'll show them some love. And by some love, we're gonna face all of those fittings out, except for these. I think these are Fergolia -8 to -6s. They don't have any logos, so I don't worry about that. So yep, I'm gonna cut this hose. Alrighty, so as you can see, the bench, I had this all cleaned up just a minute ago, but it's kind of dirtied again. Well, first off, ignore what's going on up there. Fuel lines are done, and they are nice. I like that. I'm very happy with that. Everything is equal and, you know, exactly the same length and looks right. Of course, we have actually brand new spark plug wires, because these are, I bought like 4 sets of 8.8 Excels because I love Excel yellow wires, but these things are so old and kind of scabbed together. And like I said, I made a set for this engine out of 4 sets. These are going to go, and the wires I have to replace them are not yellow, mainly because it's hard getting this right shade of yellow anymore. So we're going with a set of 10.4 big black Taylor wires. That's what we're going to go with. Hopefully it looks good. I think it'll play really well off all this stuff. But anyways, yeah, the fuel lines are all done. Just marvel at that. This is a very similar setup to how Chris Birdsong did on his, I think, Smurf. Just did a little bit of revisions for my taste. This is a 120 instead of a 90. So it makes it a little straighter. And I left these lines actually a little bit long, just for, you know, my taste. I didn't want them tight. There's plenty of movement here. I made this bracket just now. Actually, that's why the calipers were out, is I was getting all these holes just right. Finally got speed holes that ain't all goofy. And yes, this has a little bit of wiggle, but it's aluminum. And this will be for a throttle return spring to this. But there it is. I originally planned to get this engine all buttoned up and pushed back into the corner for the end of this video, but I think it's plenty long. And like I said, it's just gonna be me laying silicone and stuff down, and I think we're good here. I'm really tickled with all this, how this all turned out. Yeah. And of course, you know, all this stuff moves super easy. Even though the base isn't even bolted down, it's loose. So it's just butter still, and nothing hits, nothing gets close. I'm happy with it. And of course, I cannot wait to peel this protective coating off. It doesn't matter if it's gonna get oily and crappy, or if you can ever see the lifters or the valley, but you know what? It's there. Oh, and by the way, I just weighed that tunnel ram with the lines and everything on it. 39 pounds on the dot. For those of you who might be curious what it weighs with all the lines, there you go. Way lighter. So what says you about it all, Dad?
Turned out pretty good.
I know, but what do you think about that bad boy in there?
You gotta be able to see what's going on.
Watch my cam go flat.
Yeah, you can watch the sparks.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't have that issue with a solid flat tappet.
When you lose your oil pressure, you can watch the sparks.
Yeah, you can watch the stuff go horribly wrong. So it's got your approval, Dad?
What happens when you get a bunch of blow-by?
And we don't want to talk about that. All I need is your approval, because you are master of the hard lining.
Yeah, took me out of a job. That's all right.
I mean, you can still do the pro stock.
Well, I can run the pipe. I could do the pipe.
That probably isn't the right thing to say at all, under any circumstances. I don't think anybody wants to see you on the pipe. Just saying.
Back in the 70s.
No.
Maybe the 80s.
Oh, all right, killing the camera.
Bye-bye.
So as always, guys, I just want to thank you for sticking through this video and checking out Jezebel's new dual quad setup. And hope to see you guys in the next one. So as always, take care and bye-bye. And bye-bye.